Ladies and gentlemen, life doesn't hand out harvest to those who merely wish for themit, delivers to those who plant with vision, water with discipline, and wait with patience. The tragedy of most lives is not lack of effort, but lack of direction. You see, if the mind is always occupied with short-term comforts, the future becomes a stranger. And here's the truth. You can't live richly tomorrow if you're thinking poorly today. Most people suffer not from lack of time, but from using time for the wrong things. They chase speed instead of value. They react instead of reflect. And slowly their days become noise, their actions scattered, their results disappointing. But those who build extraordinary lives understand a powerful principle. The secret to success is hidden in your daily agenda, but is driven by your long-term vision. So I want you to lean in it, just with your ears, but with your will. Because what we're about to discuss isn't just about getting rich, it's about becoming someone who attracts wealth through clarity, discipline, and focus. The long-term rewards will only belong to those who can stay faithful to daily effort. And the ones who win aren't just busy, they're aligned. Let's begin. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. It's not how much you make, it's how much you manage. You can earn a fortune and still end up broke if your money has no mission. I used to believe that budgeting meant restriction, like putting a padlock on my joy. But I was wrong. Budgeting isn't about limiting your life, it's about designing your future. The wealthy understand this principle deeply. You don't command wealth until you command your dollars. Every dollar that comes into your hands has energy. It either builds your house or burns it down. That's why I learned to use what I now call the 70-30th rule. It's simple. Live on 70% of your income. The rest, divide it with intention. 10% goes into saving, 10% into investing, and 10% into giving. Now let me break this down because most people get it backwards. They spend everything first, then scramble to save what's left if anything is left. That's not a plan, that's a hope. And hope is not a wealth strategy. The moment you start giving your dollars a purpose before they disappear, your whole financial life changes. See, money is like a child that needs discipline, direction, and boundaries. If you don't tell it where to go, it wanders off and gets into trouble. When I first tried this, I was making just enough to get by. But I thought, if I can't live on 70% now, what makes me think I'll be able to live on 70% when I'm making more? I forced myself to get serious. I saved 10%. No matter how small, I found ways to invest 10%, even if it was in books, training, or a small mutual fund. And giving, that was a game changer. When you give, you tell money that it doesn't own you. You develop the kind of mindset that attracts more of it, because wealth flows toward those who handle it with wisdom and generosity. Some people will say, but I can't afford to save or invest. My friend, the truth is, you can't afford not to. Even $5 a week into savings is better than none. Even a few dollars into a low-cost investment teaches you the habit, because habits build wealth, not windfalls. Most people are waiting for more income to start managing their money. But if you can't manage $1,000, you won't manage $10,000. And if you're not generous with a little, you won't be generous with a lot. Money magnifies character and multiplies habits. That's why it's not the amount, it's the structure. Now you might say, what about emergencies? What about inflation? And I say exactly. That's why you need a plan. Life is expensive. So are mistakes. But wisdom is cheap by comparison. Budgeting gives you control, and control gives you options. And having options, that's freedom, not just financially, but mentally. It gives you the ability to say yes when it matters and no when it's wise. That's not restriction, that's power. Because the goal isn't to feel rich for a moment, the goal is to become wealthy for a lifetime. I often say success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And if you want to build wealth, you need more than just a dream, you need a routine. A routine that makes money. Not by accident, not by luck, but by design. Most people want to be rich, but they spend their day drifting. They react to the day instead of owning it. The wealthy, they've crafted daily habits that attract income like a magnet. And one of the most powerful routines you can create takes just 90 minutes a day. 30 minutes to learn, 30 minutes to create, 30 minutes to reach out or sell. That's it. But if you do it daily, consistently, intentionally, it can change your life. Let's break it down. The first 30 minutes is for learning. Your mind is your greatest asset, and your income will never outgrow your thinking. You can't solve a $100,000 problem with a $10,000 mindset. So what do? Read, listen to audiobooks, study people who are doing what you want to do. When I was broke and trying to figure things out, I spent time every day reading about sales, communication, business, philosophy. Not because I had a test, but because I had a future. And your future is shaped by the ideas you consume. One new idea can shift the course of your entire financial life. But it only happens if you make learning part of your daily ritual. Now, the next 30 minutes is for creating. That's right, produce something. An offer, a blog post, a video, a pitch, a plan, something that didn't exist before. You see, money doesn't just follow knowledge, it follows value. And value is created through action. I've watched people study for years and never move the needle. Why? Because they consume but never create. If you want to attract income, you've got to contribute to the marketplace. Don't just think build. Don't just plan publish. Wealth is waiting on the other side of your output. And if you're stuck wondering where to start, just ask, what's one problem I can help solve today? Then build something around it. Finally, the last 30 minutes is outreach. Talk to people, follow up with leads, send proposals, book a call, make a pitch. Wealth is not built in isolation. It grows through connection. I learned this early in my career. If you want more money, you've got to get in front of more people. Your skill is useless if no one knows you exist. I used to spend hours crafting the perfect idea, but what moved the needle was the moment I picked up the phone or knocked on the door. And here's the truth. Rejection doesn't kill, dreamsilence does. So make the call, send the message, share the offer. Because if you talk to 10 people a day, that's 300 people a month, 3,600 a year. You think that won't make a difference? Most people wait until they feel ready or until their schedule clears up. But life doesn't reward intentions, it rewards discipline. Just 90 minutes a day, learning, creating, selling. Stack that for a year, and you'll have a business. Stack it for 5 years, and you'll have a legacy. You don't need a miracle. You need a money-making routine. Ideas are the seed of every fortune. But a seed left in the drawer never grows into a harvest. I've met so many bright, capable people sitting on gold mines of untapped ideas, but they stay broke. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack talent, but because they never learned how to turn those ideas into income. And here's the truth. The marketplace doesn't pay for thoughts, it pays for solutions. You don't get paid for what you know. You get paid for what you do with what you know. That's the bridge between potential and profit. Now, one of the best ways to start is by paying attention. That's right, just listen. People are always complaining about time, about money, about health, about confusion. That's opportunity wearing a disguise. When people complain, they're identifying gaps in the marketplace. And if you can learn to recognize the patterns, you've got the beginning of a business. I used to carry a little notebook around, and I'd jot down problems I overheard at the grocery store, at dinner, even at seminars. I don't have time to cook, someone would say. I hate cold calls, another. I wish someone could explain investing simply. Write that down. That's not just a complaint, that's a market signal. Then find one of those problems you know something about. Maybe you've lived it, maybe you've solved it for yourself. Maybe you're just willing to learn fast and help someone else avoid the pain. That's the starting point. Now, don't wait until the product is perfect. The key is to start small. Package your solution in a simple way. Maybe it's a short ebook. Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe it's a 20-minute consultation. But put something together that takes the idea out of your head and puts it into someone's hands. That first version doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be real. When I first started teaching, I didn't fill a stadium. I rented a little room and invited a few folks to hear what I had to say. I charged a small fee not to get rich. but to prove the value. And what happened? Some people loved it, others gave feedback. I didn't let that discourage me. I let it refine me, because that's how income grows. You build something simple, you test it, you adjust, and you listen to the response of the marketplace. Don't fall in love with your first version. Fall in love with serving the need. The best business ideas evolve through use. You see, money follows usefulness. If you want more income, become more useful, not just in theory, but in practice. Solve one problem for one group of people in one simple way. Then do it again. You don't need millions of followers or investors or viral videos. You need one clear solution and the courage to offer it. If you start there by turning your ideas into action, wealth won't be something you chase. It will become something you attract. You don't have to start from scratch to build wealth. In fact, you're likely sitting on a fortune and don't even know it. It's not buried in the backyard or hidden in the stock market. It's in your experience. What you've lived through, learned, figured out, and mastered, that's value. But most people overlook it. They think, who would pay for what I know? I'll tell you who's someone who hasn't learned it yet, someone who's where you used to be. If you've solved a problem, overcome a challenge, developed a skill, then you've got something to offer. The wealthy understand this. They don't just earn by the hour, they earn by what they've become. When I first stepped into the speaking world, I wasn't famous. I didn't have a bestseller or a big stage, but I had a story. I had lessons I'd learned the hard way, mistakes, corrections, insights, and I started by sharing those with just a few people. That turned into talks, those talks turned into tapes, tapes turned into courses, and eventually those ideas packaged properly built income that worked even when I wasn't. That's the secret. Wealthy people take what they know and find a way to scale it. And today, the tools to do this are everywhere. You can take what you've learned, whether it's how to budget, how to bake bread, how to raise teenagers, or how to close a sale and package it. Maybe it's a short guide in a PDF. Maybe it's a mini course with your voice and slides. Maybe it's a consulting call you offer for 30 minutes a week. The point is, you take what's inside your head and you turn it into a format someone else can benefit from. And here's the key. You don't need to know everything, just more than the person you're helping. You only need to be a chapter ahead in the book to be a valuable guide. Now let me say this. You don't need to be perfect. Don't wait until you have all the answers. I've seen more people stay broke while trying to make their idea flawless when they could have been earning with the rough draft. It's not about being the best in the world. It's about being useful, clear, and consistent. And if you really want to build wealth, stop selling your hours and start selling your insight. Stop waiting for someone to give you a raise and give yourself one by turning knowledge into income. That's the shift. From consumer to creator. From trading time to building assets. A digital product, once made, can reach 10 people or 10,000, and it doesn't get tired. It doesn't call in sick. It works while you sleep. That's leverage, and that's how the wealthy think. So look at your story, look at your skills, look at your scars. There's gold in all of it. The question is, are you willing to package what you already know and share it with the world? Because if you are, then wealth won't be a maybe, it'll be a matter of time. There's a quiet power most people overlook on the journey to wealth, and that power is privacy. We live in a noisy world where people can't wait to tell you their next move, their next plan, their big idea. They post it, talk about it, and celebrate the start before they've even taken the first step. But the truth is, the loudest voice in the room rarely builds the tallest building. The wealthy understand this. They know real growth happens in silence, not in secret out of fear, but in privacy out of strength. When you grow in silence, you conserve your energy for the work that matters. You stop seeking applause and start building results. I remember when I first set out to change my life financially. I didn't make an announcement. I didn't tell everyone I was going to become successful. I just went to work. I studied in quiet. I practiced in private. I kept my vision close, not because I was hiding it, but because it wasn't ready yet. Goals are like seeds. You don't pull them out of the soil every day to show them off. You protect them. You water them. You wait. And one day, when the tree grows tall, people will see it not because you told them, but because you stayed focused. You don't need to advertise your ambition. You don't need to convince others you're serious. Convince yourself. That's the only voice you need to win over. People waste too much time trying to impress others instead of impressing their future. They post progress, but skip the practice. They talk big, but act small. And then they wonder why the results never come. Don't fall into that trap. Don't measure success by how many people know your plan. Measure it by how often you show up for yourself when no one's watching. Silence sharpens discipline. It forces you to stop chasing validation and start building conviction. Every time you keep your goal to yourself and still work on it, you're proving that it matters. You're turning wishful thinking into real work. And that's what wealth responds to, not hype, not noise, but consistency, executed in quiet rooms and early mornings. And there's another benefit. Privacy protects your momentum. When you tell too many people, you invite too many opinions, and opinions, if you're not grounded, can shake your confidence. Some will doubt you, some will discourage you, some will try to reshape your dream to fit their fear. But when you grow in silence, you don't give them that chance. You build your foundation strong before you let the world in. So here's the invitation: stop broadcasting. Start building, trade performance for progress. Don't let applause distract you from alignment. Let your success be your announcement. Let your results do the talking. Because when you grow in silence, you don't just become wealthy, you become unshakable. When it comes to building wealth and success, people often focus on tactic strategies, investments, skills, and all of those matter. But there's one element that sits quietly underneath them all, driving the doors that open and the calls that come in. And that's your reputation. Your reputation is your shadow. It follows you everywhere. It speaks before you enter the room. And here's the truth. You don't have to chase opportunity. If your reputation walks in first and tells opportunity, this one is worth it. The wealthy understand this. They know the marketplace doesn't just pay for talent, it pays for trust. And trust is earned through consistency, not charisma. I remember early in my career, before I had the experience, before I had the results, I had one thing I could control: how I showed up. So I showed up early. I returned every call. I delivered my work before the deadline. If I said I'd do something, I did it. And I didn't just meet expectations, I worked to exceed them. Not because I wanted applause, but because I was building something more valuable than money. I was building credibility. You see, people want to work with someone they can count on. Not just someone who's smart, but someone who's dependable. And here's a powerful idea. If you build a reputation for excellence and integrity, people will seek you out. They'll refer you. They'll want you in the room when decisions are made. Because it's not just what you do, it's how you do it. And more importantly, who you become in the process. This is the part most people miss. They think wealth is only about numbers, sales, and speed. But character is a currency too. And in many cases, it spends longer. If you cut corners, if you ghost on commitments, if you promise more than you deliver, eventually it catches up. But if your word becomes your bond, if people know that when you say something, they can write it down in ink, then your value in the marketplace rises without you saying a word. Now, this kind of reputation isn't built overnight. It's built one act at a time, one deadline honored, one problem solved, one promise kept. And the beautiful part is, you don't need anyone's permission to start. You just make a decision every single day to be excellent. Not perfect, not flashy, just excellent. Thoughtful, responsible, on time, present. Those are the things that echo. And over time, those echoes reach people you haven't even met yet. That's when things begin to shift. Opportunities start finding you because people trust your name before they even know your face. That's the power of a reputation that's been earned, not announced. So, build yours like it's your greatest investment, because it is. In the long run, it's not just about who you know. It's about who respects you, who recommends you, and who remembers you when opportunity knocks. Let your reputation open doors before you even touch the handle. Most people misunderstand relationships when it comes to wealth. They think networking is about collecting business cards, shaking hands, and showing up to be seen. But let me tell you, wealth doesn't come from how many people know your name. It comes from how many people value what you bring. Relationships are bridges, and if you build them right, they'll take you further than talent or hustle ever will on their own. But here's the key. You don't start by asking. You start by giving. That's what most people miss. If you want to multiply wealth through relationships, don't network serve. Don't show up trying to impress. Show up trying to contribute. Ask yourself, what does this person need that I can help with? Maybe it's an introduction. Maybe it's a book recommendation. Maybe it's just a thoughtful follow-up that shows you were really listening. You'd be amazed how rare that is and how powerful it becomes. I remember a time early in my journey when I met a gentleman at an event. He was further down the path than I was, and like many others, I could have pitched myself, tried to get something, but I didn't. I asked him what he was working on, what challenges he was facing. He mentioned he was looking for a speaker for a small event he was hosting. I didn't say, let me speak. I said, let me introduce you to someone I know who would be a perfect fit. That connection helped him. And months later, he remembered Minot because I sold myself, but because I served. And wouldn't you know it, down the line, he reached out and invited me to speak, not at the small event, but at something far greater. That's the law of reciprocity. When you send value into the world, it circles back in ways you never could have predicted. But you have to be patient. You can't serve with a stopwatch. You can't expect instant return. Relationships compound over time just like investments. So you keep planting seeds. A thoughtful email here. A book in the mail there. A quick check-in asking how someone's business is going. These are deposits into an invisible bank account. One day, you'll wake up and find that account overflowing because the people you've helped will be the same people who opened doors you couldn't reach on your own. Wealthy people understand this. They don't burn bridges, they build them. They don't use people, they lift them. And because of that, they're never alone. They're always surrounded by people who want to see them win because they helped others win first. That's how you multiply wealth through relationships. Not with manipulation, but with generosity. Not with noise, but with real value. So if you want better relationships, don't ask, who can help me? Ask, who can I help today? That question, asked daily, becomes the foundation of a powerful network. And that network becomes the multiplier of everything you're building. There's a quiet power in putting pen to paper, a discipline often overlooked by those chasing wealth. Every Sunday, take the time to journal not just any journaling, but focused reflection on your financial journey. Write down 3 simple but profound questions. What did I earn? What did I learn? What can I improve? This is more than bookkeeping. It's a conversation with yourself, a moment to pause and truly see where you are, where you're headed, and what adjustments you need to make. When you write down what you earned, you're not just recording numbers, you're acknowledging the fruits of your efforts. Sometimes the income might be small or irregular, but recognizing it grounds you in reality. It tells you that your work has value. Tracking earnings consistently also reveals patterns. Maybe certain days, weeks, or activities generate more revenue. This insight is crucial because wealth doesn't grow by accident. It grows by understanding what works and repeating it. Then, when you ask, what did I learn? You tap into your evolving wisdom. Every day brings lessons, whether it's a new budgeting trick, an investment insight, or a negotiation tactic. Writing these down turns fleeting thoughts into lasting knowledge. It also trains your mind to look for growth opportunities in every experience, success, or setback. This habit develops a mindset where learning becomes as important as earning. After all, knowledge applied is the soil in which wealth is planted. The final question, what can I improve, is where your progress accelerates. Self-awareness is the foundation of change. By identifying your weaknesses or habits that drain your resources, you set the stage for intentional improvement. Maybe you notice you spent too much on dining out, or perhaps you could save a little more on utilities. Journaling uncovers these truths without judgment, creating a clear path forward. It turns vague hopes into specific actions, and that specificity is what drives results. I remember in my own life when I started this weekly habit, it was transformative. Before, my finances were a blur and decisions were reactive. After introducing simple journaling, I became more conscious about every dollar. I learned to celebrate small wins and address bad habits before they became big problems. This reflection also kept me humble and honest, qualities necessary for sustainable wealth. The beauty of journaling is that it builds financial awareness slowly but surely. Awareness leads to better choices because it eliminates the fog of confusion and denial. When you face your financial reality head on, you gain control rather than being controlled by your circumstances. It's a powerful step in building lasting wealth. So, commit to this simple Sunday ritual. Give yourself that half hour to review your earnings, lessons, and improvements. Over time, this practice sharpens your focus and fine-tunes your financial strategy. It's not glamorous, but it's effective. Wealth grows from consistency and clarity, and journaling is the bridge that connects your intentions to your outcomes. There's a truth many people overlook when chasing success. Motivation doesn't last. It's like a firework, bright, exciting, but brief. You start a new plan full of energy, but days or weeks later, that spark fades. What separates those who succeed from those who quit is not constant motivation, it's consistency. And consistency comes from tying every action to a deep, meaningful reason. When you know your why, you create an anchor. That reason, whether it's providing for your family, achieving financial freedom, or leaving a legacy, becomes your guiding light. Keep it visible. Write it on a card. Place it where you can see it daily. When motivation dwindles, your why pulls you forward, reminding you why you began. It turns routine actions into purposeful steps, even when enthusiasm is low. But knowing your why isn't enough on its own. You need to track your progress in a way that keeps you honest and motivated. Visual reminders like a calendar where you mark completed tasks, a journal tracking milestones, or even a simple checklist help transform intangible goals into concrete achievements. Each mark is a small win that fuels momentum. Seeing progress, no matter how small, builds confidence and keeps your commitment alive. Systems are your greatest ally in this battle against waning motivation. Create habits and routines that don't rely on feeling motivated. Schedule your wealth-building activities, learning, investing, selling at the same time every day. Build rituals that become automatic. The discipline of a system removes decision fatigue and makes success inevitable. I've witnessed this principle in my own life. Early on, I depended heavily on feeling motivated, but the highs and lows were exhausting. It wasn't until I linked my daily actions to a clear purpose and established unbreakable habits that I truly moved forward. I saw the difference between fleeting energy and lasting progress. Remember, motivation is a visitor, not a resident. What lives in your home is your system and your purpose. When you combine those, consistency follows naturally, and wealth becomes an outcome of your steadfast journey, not a matter of chance. This is how winners operate. They don't wait for the perfect feeling. They show up because their why demands it, and their systems support it. Patience is often misunderstood. Many think patience means sitting back, waiting quietly for success to arrive. But true patience in building wealth is not passive, it's active endurance. It's understanding that meaningful growth takes time, yet it demands urgency in the steps you take every day. Wealth doesn't spring up overnight like a sudden thunderstorm. It grows quietly, steadily, like a tree that takes years to mature before it bears fruit. The key is to begin now and act with urgency, even while you wait for the results to unfold. Too many people delay their start because they're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect amount of knowledge. The truth is, waiting for perfection is a form of procrastination, dressed up in patience. Real patience means starting with what you have, where you are, and then improving as you go. Time is the great multiplier, but it only rewards those who take consistent action. Every moment you delay is a moment lost opportunity for compounding growth, lost progress toward your financial goals. In my own journey, I've seen the power of starting immediately, even with small steps. When I first began, I didn't have all the answers. I didn't have a foolproof blueprint. What I had was the determination to act, and I knew that time would do the rest. I wrote down my goals, took daily actions to learn and grow, and trusted the process. Over time, those small, urgent actions created momentum, built skill, and opened doors that waiting could never have unlocked. Urgency doesn't mean rushing blindly. It means treating every day as a vital opportunity to move forward. It means understanding that wealth is a long-term game, but the moves you make today determine your results tomorrow. If you want to build wealth, don't be distracted by impatience or overwhelmed by the time it takes. Instead, be patient with the growth process, but be urgent with your action. The market rewards the doers, the ones who show up, learn, adjust, and keep moving. It punishes the dreamers who wait for perfect conditions that never come. If you grasp this balanced patience for growth paired with urgency for action, you unlock the secret to lasting success. Begin tonight. Take one step. Trust that the seeds you plant now will grow into a forest. Your future wealth depends not on luck or timing, but on your commitment to act today with urgency and to nurture your progress with patience. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want to leave you with a simple but powerful truth. Your 24 hours are the most valuable currency you have, and how you choose to spend them will shape the life and wealth you create. Time is the great equalizer. No one gets more, no one gets less. But the way you use your time sets you apart. The wealthy understand this deeply. They don't squander their hours on distractions or idle worries. Instead, they treat every moment as an investment, a building block toward their vision of success. Remember, wealth is not just about money, it's about freedom, growth, and the ability to contribute. It's built through intention, discipline, and consistency. It's not luck, nor is it some mysterious talent reserved for a select few. It's the result of daily decision small actions repeated until they become habits, habits repeated until they form your destiny. If you commit to managing your time like the precious resource it is, you can multiply your results and accelerate your journey to wealth. I urge you to start today. Wake up with purpose. Protect your thinking time. Focus on what truly moves the needle. Build routines that nourish your growth. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. And don't just work harder, work smarter. Let your days be filled with activities that align with your goals and values. Plan your tomorrow tonight. Reflect each day on what you did well and what you can improve. Growth is a continuous process. There will be moments when motivation fades and obstacles appear. In those times, remind yourself of your why, the deeper reason you want to succeed. Make your systems bulletproof so that even when the fire dims, your habits keep fueling your progress. Be patient with the process, but urgent with your action. Start now with what you have, where you are. I challenge you not to let another day pass accidentally. Decide today to become the master of your time, the architect of your life. Make every hour count because your future depends on the investments you make in your time right now. Wealth is waiting on the other side of disciplined days, focused minds, and purposeful actions. Take control of your 24 hours. Multiply your wealth by multiplying the value of each moment. The life you want is within reach if you commit to the journey. Let this be the day your transformation begins. Your destiny is shaped by the choices you make. Today, choose wisely, act boldly, and watch your success unfold.